The Gramercy Street Hustlers was only Gramercy Street Hustlers, and they were never a gang.
Right.
It was never a gang. We never organized to become a gang, right? Like I said, we was a football team, you know what I mean? And you know, we in LA. And the larger dynamics, you know what I'm saying, created conditions that we just didn't want no part of. You know what I'm saying? We didn't want to, you know, not be able to go over here because we're this, or not go over there because we're that. And the street became popular, man. I mean, you know, you had people from all kind of places around, you know, the greater Los Angeles area. They used to come on this street just because they felt comfortable. You see what I'm saying? People could let their guards down. In my opinion, a lot of the Bloods used to come over here because ain't nobody coming over here looking for you. You know what I'm saying? Your street, 21st Street, ain't nobody coming down here looking for you, right? That's where they hung out at, on 21st. So when we start hanging out on the street, didn't nobody sell no drugs on this street. You see what I'm saying? This was our street, right? And so, you know, that being what it is, you know, like I said, I went to prison in 86 and I came home in 89, right? You know, my personal story, I'm trying to separate from the overall narrative, right? But when I came home, you know, a lot of things had changed. You know, people was, you know, active with gunplay, and you know what I mean? And I was hearing stories about, you know, my folks' house getting shot up and things of that nature, right? So when I came home, I couldn't go to my neighborhood because of my parole conditions, and I used to hang out over here with my girl a lot, and quite naturally, I fell right into what was going on. So, you know, my little partners was getting shot at and things of that nature, and I, you know, told them, you know, you gonna have to put your foot down, you got to push back, right? And so a lot of the escalation from like 90, 91, you know what I'm saying? I kind of had a hand in some of that stuff, you know what I mean? Not because I wanted to gangbang, but because I had an interest in this block, you know what I'm saying? And this block was a money-getting block, and I just couldn't see abandoning the block unless somebody else occupied the space at the time. That was just my own street politics, you know what I'm saying? And
wait. Actually, we might want to just
stay right here.
Yeah, there's no cars. You can lean on that side. We're outside of the driveway. I'm gonna move. Actually, you know, let's go same back.
I think you gonna have to me.
Back same. Yeah, back.
I think he was just
Go,
being an ass.
go ahead. You was over. No. You the same way you was initially. Move to your left. Move to your left a little bit and back up backward to. Yeah, there we go. If we gotta move, we gotta move. I'm gonna keep it the same way. All right, so let's back it up a little bit. You mentioned the Drew Crips. I guess they were the St. Andrews Crips. I need to know around what year was this, and do you remember any of those guys?
Absolutely. They weren't called the St. Andrews Crips. They were the Drew Boys, right? And that was just the local name that the Drew Boys, because they lived on St. Andrews, right? I remember Patrick Wells, they called him Spook. He was from Hoover, either 107 or 74. It was a brother named Roshan. I can't remember where Roshan was from. Then Spook had a brother named Marshall. It was a brother named Cato that was from Harlem that lived on Venice and St. Andrews. He had two fine sisters named Cha-Cha and Lovey, and anybody from around this area know who Cha-Cha and Lovey was. You see what I'm saying? And it was another OG dude, and these is grown men. You see what I'm saying? These is basically, you know, some of these dudes is grown men when I'm like 10, 11 years old. So Cisco, his brother named Cisco, had a lowrider on the corner of St. Andrews and 18th Street. And they used to all just kind of kick it on that street. It was a white girl that lived in the middle of the block on St. Andrews. I believe her name was Carol. You see, and you know, Daff used to come over there. A whole bunch of dudes used to come over there to this white girl's house. So for me living on St. Andrews, that apartment right there, that's St. Andrews in the back. I lived at the top. I used to just come down and hop the fence over here when this was just a blank, empty field, like 1975. But on the other street, right next to the masjid, it's a mosque on the next street. The next house was a house that it was always some gangbangers over there. And they was Crip dudes. You see what I'm saying? So that's the first time I ever seen Tookie and Jamel was right here on St. Andrews and 18th Street.
You mentioned Daff.
Yeah.
What would Daff be coming through here for?
I believe he was visiting the girls. It was like I said, it was a white girl that lived on the block. They were all older than me. She had to be at least 16, 17 years old when I was around 12. Okay. So, but this is the imagery. This is the imagery that I'm seeing as a 12-year-old coming out of my house, right? And like I said, the first time I saw Jamel Barnes and Tookie Williams was right here on St. Andrews and 18th Street. Tookie came over here. He had on overalls with the braids, and them dudes had on combat boots, and I was amazed when I saw him. It was like, you know, it was a big deal. You know what I mean? I didn't, you know, it was a big deal the way them dudes walked through here, right? But anyway, growing up later, when I found out who they really was, because another guy that I grew up with, Marv, like I said, Jamel Barnes used to lift weights with his brother. So it was frequent to see him coming over here.
Where did Marv stay?
Right here on the corner of Gramercy and 18th.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So yeah, his brother name was Stan. Stan used to play football at Manual Arts High School. You know, so that was just like the imagery we seen growing up. You know, we used to play football in the alley before you get to Manhattan, the alley right behind St. Andrews. Okay, we used to play football in that alley right there, and all in that alley, them dudes used to hang out around there. So, you know, we kind of felt like as we grew up, you know what I'm saying, them was like, kind of like, we looked at them like them was our big homies, even though we wasn't gang banging, right? We chose not to be gang bangers because we had ties on both sides.
Now, you mentioned the Drew boys. You said they weren't Crips per se?
No, they weren't. The Drew boy was not a gang per se, like a clique, right, or a set. It was a combination of brothers or Crip dudes that lived in the neighborhood. It was all from different sets.
So how long did the Drew boys last, and what eventually happened to them?
When I came over here in 75, I guess they kind of just moved from the neighborhood. Ultimately, some of the Drew boys, the little Drew boys, became Manhattan mobs. So like your boy, I don't know if you ever heard a guy named Gustavo. Okay, Gus was a Drew boy, but he was a little Drew boy. His brother Romulo was a Drew boy, right? And those Drew boys were older than us. Gus is like my age, maybe a year older than me. Gustavo and Miguel, okay? Gustavo, Miguel, and then Jose, who moved in the neighborhood later. Those dudes all gravitated towards Manhattan. So, because it's an age difference. You dig what I'm saying? The Drew boys was damn near grown. They was grown men. You know what I mean? So we couldn't be with them. You know what I mean? So the generation behind them, you know, we forged our own identities.
So whatever happened to the Hoover guy that you mentioned that was one of the main Drew guys?
Oh, he was still around in the mid-'80s. He was working like the homie Jaime, my homie Jaime, rest in peace, he just passed away, okay? Jaime Loke moved over here. Jaime was from 107 Hoover. He had a brother named Cook that was from 11A East Coast. He was originally from Raymond, and the Raymonds killed his uncle. And so he turned from Raymond to 1180 East Coast. They had two little brothers that was from Harlem. They moved on 18th, and as soon as they moved over here, it immediately took off because the blood started coming over here. You know what I'm saying? Because there was too many, you know what I'm saying, Crip dudes around here, so they started taking an interest in coming over here, right? Long story short, those dudes was older than us, so they didn't hang out with us. You see what I'm saying? Them dudes was already doing what they was doing. But one of them, you can look it up. It's a tow truck company called Men at Work. And that came out about 1984. You know what I'm saying? That was the homie Packy. They was like the first dudes, you know, some of the first dudes in LA to bust with the tow trucks, 1984. Okay, they were dealing with Waterhead Boat. So when they talking about plugs, like I was telling Musa, we talking about young dudes that had access to plugs, right? We had access to that through our homie's older brother. And so right after football and stuff like that, man, we went right into serving on the block basically. You know what I mean? So, it was never a gang. It was never a gang. The pushback came in from the pressure. Dudes feeling like you need to turn this or you need to be that, and so people felt like they needed to push back, and that's what happened.